You can leave her alone for hours, even days, and somehow, you still show up in her behavior. That is the part most men miss. They think if a woman thinks about you a lot, she will say it. She will make it obvious. She will confess it with perfect timing and zero mystery. Almost never. Usually, a woman can think about you all the time and still hide it behind small moves that look harmless. That is why this matters. Because the truth is not always in big emotional statements. It is in the repeated little things that keep pulling you back into her world. If she does these things consistently, she is not just remembering you once in a while. You are taking up space in her head, more than she is admitting. And once you see these signs, you stop calling everything random. You stop missing what is right in front of you. The first sign is this. She sends you things that have no practical reason to be sent. A reel, a meme, a random photo, a song, a post with one short message. This made me think of you. Or even nothing at all, just the link. Most guys brush this off way too fast. They think she was just bored. Maybe. But boredom alone does not explain why your name was the one her mind landed on. That is the point. When a woman thinks about you a lot, her brain starts connecting ordinary moments to you. She sees something funny, you come to mind. She hears a phrase, you come to mind. She walks past something you once mentioned. You come to mind again. That matters psychologically because repeated mental association is not casual. It means you are becoming part of her internal filter. She's not forcing it. It is happening automatically. So do not just focus on what she sends. Notice how often life seems to remind her of you. Because if she keeps sending you pieces of her day, you are probably living in her head far more than you think. The second sign is stronger. She brings up details from old conversations out of nowhere. Not the big memorable stuff. The small things. The weird story you told once. That thing you said you wanted to do. Your opinion on something random. The snack you like. The place you said you used to go as a kid. Most men hear this and think, she just has a good memory. No. Good memory is one thing. Selective emotional memory is another. People remember details that feel mentally important, and when she thinks about you a lot, those details do not just stay stored, they stay active. That is why they come back up naturally, because your words did not pass through her mind once and disappear. They stayed, and they repeated. So if she keeps surprising you with details you forgot you even said, pay attention. That is not surface-level awareness. That is mental replay. The third sign is subtle, but once you catch it, it says everything. She reopens conversations that were already over. You text. The exchange ends. Hours later, maybe the next day, she comes back with one more thought, one more joke, one more question, one more reason to continue. The conversation could have died peacefully, but she does not let it. Most guys misunderstand this because they keep looking for dramatic chasing. But when a woman thinks about you a lot, continuation becomes the clue. She keeps mentally returning to the interaction, so she returns physically too. Back into your messages, back into your space, back into your attention. This matters because people do not reopen closed loops unless something inside them is still active. Your last conversation did not leave her mind when it ended. It kept echoing. So watch for this. Not just who texts first, watch who keeps reviving dead moments. That is usually the person still carrying you around after the interaction is over. The fourth sign is one of the clearest. She remembers timing, not just content. Timing. She knows when something important is happening for you. She checks in before something big. After something stressful. On the day you mentioned weeks ago, she remembers your interview, your trip, your appointment, your event, your game, your deadline, and she brings it up without needing to be reminded. That is powerful, because remembering facts is one thing. Remembering timing means you stayed in her mental calendar, and people only make space in that calendar for what returns to mind repeatedly. Most men think this is just kindness. Sometimes it is, but consistent emotional timing usually means more. It means she's been thinking ahead about you. She heard your moment, held on to it, and circled back when it mattered. That is not passive memory. That is active mental presence. So if she keeps showing up around moments that matter to you, do not ignore that. You were on her mind before she ever appeared in your notifications. The fifth sign is this. She finds ways to mention things you did together, even small things, especially small things. She brings up that one joke from last week, that awkward little moment, that place you both went, that song that was playing, that comment you made in passing. To most people, these are forgettable pieces of life. To her, they keep coming back, and that is the giveaway. When a woman thinks about you a lot, Shared moments gain extra weight. They become scenes she replays, not because they were objectively huge, but because you were in them. And that changes how the memory feels. A lot of men miss this because they assume if the moment was small, it could not have mattered. Wrong. It is often the smallest moments that people replay the most when someone matters to them, because those moments feel personal, unscripted, real. So if she keeps reaching back into your shared history, even for tiny things, notice what that means. The moment ended for you, but it kept living in her longer than that. The sixth sign is emotional curiosity. She asks things that go slightly deeper than the situation requires. Not an interview, not a therapy session, just little questions that keep opening your inner world. How did that actually go? What do you really think about that? Why do you always say that? Were you stressed? Did that bother you more than you let on? What was your first reaction? This matters because when someone thinks about you a lot, they do not just want updates. They want access. They want texture. They want to understand what goes on inside you when you are not in front of them. Most guys think questions always mean interest in the moment. Not necessarily. Sometimes questions are evidence of ongoing thought. She has already been wondering about you before she asked. The question is just the visible part. The thinking happened earlier. That is why this is such a strong sign. Curiosity is rarely random when it repeats. It usually follows mental investment. So if she keeps asking things that reveal she wants to know how your mind works, there is a good chance she has been thinking about that long before the conversation started. The seventh sign is the one almost nobody reads correctly. Her response timing changes based on emotional weight. Maybe she does not always reply instantly. That part does not matter. What matters is how she reacts when something feels important between you. When the conversation turns more personal, she becomes quicker, more present, more detailed. Or if she cannot respond right away, she comes back with substance, not dry filler, not one cold word, actual energy, actual thought. Most men obsess over speed alone. That is a mistake. A woman can think about you a lot and still be busy, still have a life, still reply late sometimes. The real clue is not constant availability, it is mental return. Does she come back engaged? Does she pick up threads carefully? Does it feel like she has been thinking even while absent? That is what matters. Because when someone stays in your head, the connection does not reset to zero every time the chat goes quiet. It resumes. So notice the quality of the return. That tells you more than the clock ever will. And here is the part that ties everything together. Any one of these signs can happen for simple reasons. Anyone can send one meme. Anyone can remember one detail. Anyone can ask one thoughtful question. But patterns do not lie. If she keeps sending things that remind her of you, keeps bringing up details from the past, keeps reopening conversations, keeps remembering your timing, keeps replaying shared moments, keeps asking deeper questions, keeps returning with real energy, then no, you are not just a passing thought, you are a recurring one. And that is a big difference, because passing thoughts are easy. Recurring thoughts change behavior. They create messages, memory, curiosity, timing, reconnection. That is what you were looking for, not one perfect sign. A repeated pattern of mental presence. So, if she does this, she is probably thinking about you more often than you realize. Maybe when something funny happens, maybe late at night, maybe when she hears a song, maybe when your name shows up in her head for no reason at all. And that is the truth most men overlook. You do not need her to say, "I think about you all the time." Her behavior usually says it first, quietly, repeatedly, and much more honestly than words ever could. So stop looking only for grand gestures. Start noticing what keeps returning. Because in attraction, in interest, in emotional attention, what repeats is what matters. And if she keeps doing this, you are not just crossing her mind, you are staying there. If you want more scripts like this, stay close. Because the smallest signs usually reveal the biggest truths.